It is Sunday here in Sweden in the end of June 2022, and today is a perfect day to talk to you, to recording in my podcast, because it's very cloudy, and it's not dark clouds, but it's cloudy, and they say we maybe should get thunderstorms because it's very hot in Europe, and it is in the United States also, I know. And we are in the edge of between cold and warm weather, so it can, when they come together, it can be thunderstorm. But it was not about the weather. I am not a weather girl. I wanted to talk about what I found out yesterday, that I saw that I look at the first episodes that I have recording, and I saw it was some recordings, episodes missing in the beginning. And then I remember I didn't think so deep into it. This is not a spirit thing, it's a worldly thing. So I'm very confused sometimes when it's come to the world. And I told them for some months ago that my provider for this podcast, I told them that this is not my paying plan I have just now. You have changed it. It's an error because I have paid for unlimited episodes to recording, not knowing that it should be so many episodes that it have been. But it's not me thinking, it's spirit things, it's things I know in my spirit, and not as a human. I know it in the spirit that it will be many episodes in my podcast. From the beginning, I was thinking it maybe 10 episodes like that. And I am up. I have, if I should count those that is missing episodes, I have done more than 300 episodes so far, and now is coming one more, and I am going to try to recording 2 episodes. I don't want to recording a long episode. It should only be the longest 1 hour, because I know people have no time. It's so much stress today, and people have other things to do than to listen at me. So I'm thinking to, even if you can stop the listening and come back and listen in the same episodes, do I want to do it in 2 parts? And it's very important for people to know how everything started, to know me, who I am, that sit and talking with big words about be the prophet of God, God's prophet. why I say it. It's not taken out from nothing. It's I have not say I'm a prophet before, maybe this year, but I have not said that before. But I know it now. I know who I am. I'm the prophet for this generation that God have chosen, and I have to tell you, you that have not listened to this, some few have listened to the beginning of my podcast, but most people have not heard about how could God choose this person that is, she is not wealthy, she is not famous, she is a woman. How could God choose her? That she is nothing. And that what I say to God when the first day, almost the first day when I come to United States in 2000, and it was in April 2001, I asked God out in the air, and I say, why God, why have you taken me here to another country, walk away from everything in Sweden that I was comfort with, and then coming and be homeless in United States and don't have any money, nothing. I have no friends, I have no family here in this country. I ask him, what can I do for you? I say, I am only a little woman and I am nothing. No one knows me here in United States. I don't have any money. I don't have not even a home. I don't have anything. And so why did you choose me? As I asked God. But that was something I say to out because I was in the devil's house in that time, and it was so hard on me. It was so evil things going on in that house. So I'm wondering, why did you place me here, God? And I know it today because I had to go through the whole valley of death to know the devil. You have to know your enemies to get the victory over your enemies. You have to go into ordinary people and learn from life experience. It can maybe be that way that Jesus was sitting with the sinners, and he, if he eat with them and was together with them, and they asked those that saw it how he could sit with sinners. But that was how to learn about to handle those things that you are against, for to could protect you and to could try to make them come to the right walk in life. And so what I say that in year 2000 I was on my way to do a suicide. So only to sit here is a miracle, because I didn't try to do a suicide. I should do a complete suicide that was no return from it. Some people make suicide like a screaming about to get help, but I was really sure to kill myself, and it was no return. But that was not in God's plan for me, and I didn't understood why God come in year 2000 and chose me to walk in His will. But that was not the beginning of it, because God have already chosen me before I come down here on earth. God have already chosen me that you are the one that I'm going to place in the devil's house. You will be born in the devil's house to from the start learn how to overcome the devil. And so I was placed in the devil's home. And my mother was 42 years old, and my father was 45. So in that time they were very old to be parents. And in before me, my parents have been married for 18 years, and they have not got any kid. My mother have been pregnant many times, but there were no baby that survive. So they adopted a girl, and then what my mother say was that the doctor they make a surgery on her because she had a womb that is split in two, like the womb is like a heart. It's in two half, and it was too weak. So the baby, the fetus that was inside the womb, they dropped down out when in some weight where it couldn't hold it, and they did a surgery on my mother and put together her womb so she could hold a baby in the womb. And so my brother was born, and he was born 2.5 years before me. And my mother, my parents was happy to have a daughter and a son, and they didn't want to have any more children in their life. That was perfect for them. So when my mother started her monthly bleeding stopped to come, my mother was thinking, I'm 42 years old, and so I maybe have an early that stop the bleeding to come, that I don't get any more children. She was thinking like that, and was not thinking about that she have no bleedings. And my mother told me that my father was a manager for Sweden's biggest insurance company. They have always been. the biggest insurance company even today. And he had many people that was under him, that he had like a party for them sometimes. So one time when they were have this big party with much drinking, as it was in the past, it was nothing that was about non-alcoholic drinks. It was heavy drinks, and my mother was okay to drink, so she was drinking very much and eat food. I suppose it was chicken in oven, and that was a luxury food in that time. And then suddenly she felt she would have to vomit, throw up, and she told me that she went out because they were in our summer cottage. We have a summer house. We have much of money in my family. And my mother went out and threw up outside, and when she was puking, then it suddenly started to move around in her stomach, and she had a baby 2.5 years earlier. She knew how a baby kick inside her, so she understood she was pregnant. So she went to the doctor that have done the surgery on her, so she could get a son. And the doctor say that to her, that if I had know this, he say, and laugh at her, I should have placed a zipper on you instead to close it, he say. But before my mother was pregnant with my brother, the doctor said to her that you should not want to be pregnant. You are so old. And he said that you are too old because it's hard for you to have small kids when you are 40 years old. But my mother wanted it because it was a status. They were wealthy. A wealthy family need to have kids. It was in that time. It's maybe hard to understand that today, but it was like that in that time. Everyone expected people that have money, they should also have kids. And so the doctor said he couldn't do abortion on my mother, because he counted it like she was in the 5th month. So God protected me already in my mother's womb. So she couldn't do an abortion. She had to give birth to me, and in a C-section, as she was old. She didn't do that on my brother either. She had not a normal birth. It's C-section on me. And when she was laying there in the hospital, and it come a nurse, and but my mother say it was an angel, but I suppose it was a nurse. But the angels, my mother say, the angel told me that the baby's name should be Anna, the same as in Hebrew, Hannah. Anna, that's my first name. I have that. But then my father changed it. I had to go to the garden because it's a dog that's out here and eating. If I have some seed left. So it was a pigeon and dove, but it was not white dove. and it was something before that when I was born, I should say, and now I have forgotten it. Maybe it's coming back, memories. Yes, it come back. It was when they should do the C-section on my mother when I was going to be born. She was already laying in the hospital, and then in the morning, when at 8 o'clock, when the doctor was ready to do a C-section, they took her carry her in a bed from one house to another house, and they have to go outside. And I'm born in December 9, so it was snow outside. It was cold outside, and it was morning, and they place very much blanket on her, and then they carry her over to the other house to do the surgery. And my mother say that many times to me. I love to hear her talking about my birth. That's many kids that love to hear it. And that morning when they carry her over to the other house, my mother was laying on the bed and look up in the sky, and she say that to me, I have never seen so many stars in heaven like it was that morning when you were born, she say. And it was like the stars come down and greeting me for the baby that should be born, she say. So it was very special that morning when I was born. And my mother, she died before I knew God. So she know it today because she have been coming through and talk to me. She know now that I have been an ordained pastor, and I have been a minister also, and I work in God's will today. But she didn't know that when she talk about my birth, that it was a special baby that should be born. And today I'm the God's prophet for real. And so my adopted sister, she hates me. The first, I don't know, but I assumed that she hated me as soon as she come to know that my mother was pregnant, that she should be a big sister. And my father, when he was drunk one day, he told her, when she was in this sensitive age that is when you are between 8 and 10 years old, she was 9, and he told her that she was adopted. My father told her that she was not their child. She was adopted. She didn't belong to the family. And that, of course, hurt her very much, and she was angry at me being the real daughter to my parents. So she started to manipulate everything, and she could take my brother to her side, the side that hate me, and she could do that because as those evil spirits, they, you know it, they is coming for you when you are weak. If you are weak, they are coming for you, and they. That's why we need to have this protection. But now, as a child, I was protected because I was placed of God. I was placed from heaven to be there in the devil's house. So I have many angels around me that protected me. But it protect to not be killed, but it doesn't protect from to be abused in many ways, to be abused. And when I was 8 years old, I had very much visions. And my father, he was raised in a religious family, so he was close to the church, even if he was not in the church. But he wanted to place his children in the church. So those few times when he was not so drunk, he took us to the church. But my brother and sister, they didn't want to be there. They belonged to the devil, so they didn't want to be in a church. And but I love the church to go there, but I couldn't. I was too young in that time when my father took me to the church, so I couldn't go to the church on my own. I have to wait for my father to take me to the church, and he couldn't take me if he was too drunk. So it didn't be so many times I was to the church. And I was in the children's group in the church, so there was not so much about anything in the Bible. And I remember that we have this paper dolls that it was like a picture, a frame, and with sticky fiber in it, and then we place those paper dolls there, and it was about what's going on in the Bible, and it was like a fairy tale, a movie like that. It was not real. And it didn't give me any answer, even if I was a young child. It was when I was between 7 and 9 years old, and my father took me to the church sometimes, and it didn't give me the answer. I was very much, I have visions from God when I was 8, so I was so much deeper than a child should be. And I asked the pastor in the church, one thing I asked him, why do God have so many names? And he say he took his hand over my head and took his hand around in my hair and laughed at me, and he say, God's way we don't understand, he say to me. So, and I hate that answer, and I have heard it sometimes, and I hate when they say that God's way we can't understand. And today I know very much about the secret that should be the secret of God's way. I have come so close to God, so I know God's plan for us. And God's plan for us is that for us the whole planet. I'm not talking about one of us. The whole planet. It's they are waiting. They are waiting. Heaven is waiting. God is waiting. Everyone is waiting in the spirit world for people here on earth to act, to understand that they need God, that they can't live their life without God. We are dependent on Him to even could breathe. It's God's mercy and His love for us to make us could live. He can take us away in 1 second if we don't care, that we think that we should be some kind of gods, that we are God in ourselves, like we don't need God, and nothing is for granted when you are not knowing God. You can do things and that is not God that kill people. It's God. It's people that kill themselves with to be ignorant, to not think they don't need God. In my age that I am now, most everyone that I have come to know, they are dead. There's people that have never thought about God. they have never wanted to know God, and they are not here anymore. It's going more and more people, and those people I was friend with from the beginning, they were pastors for churches, and they are not here anymore because they were not looking for to be closer to God. They were more wanted to be closer to money, and they didn't tell people. It was many things in the church in the United States when I was walking there every day that was secrets. I hate secrets, but they hold in knowledge that was important for people to know, and that's why in that way they kill people. They kill people in the spirit, and that's why God took them away. They don't live. They have been very young, some of them. Been in the 30s and taken away. So I grew up as this child that want to know deeper into things, and I have dinner with me in the recording. I don't know if I can eat and talk at the same time, but when I was teenager, there come some people sometimes to me, and they ask me, do you know Jesus? Do you know God? Because they were thinking Jesus and God was the same. They ask me, do you know Jesus? Do you know God? And I say to them, and I hold it even today also, the same. I can say that same today. And I answer them that I respect your faith. I respect your opinion. But I can never believe in something that I have not seen. And if I should believe in God, I told these people, if I should believe in God, He have to come down and show me something that make me never could doubt about Him. He need to be personal to me, to show me, saying or showing me things that I really understand. This is God that is talking. And He did it. He did it. I never believed or have faith in something people were telling me. I wanted to have a personal relationship with God and not have anyone that was between me and God. And that's what I want that you should also have. I am only a tool for you to come closer to God. But the step to God that you need to do on your own. Uh, Everyone have their own responsible for to come closer to God and get a relationship with God. No one else can take you to God. No one can force you to believe in God. No one can make you come closer to God. It's only on you to could do it. I am only a tool for heaven. You know that I have said that many times, that those spirits that is coming here, they use my mouth for to talk. They don't talk with their mouth. They are talking telepathy to me, and I translate it, what they are saying. I don't hear it in that way, like someone is standing here and talk to me with their mouth, because they are not human. They are not walking around here on earth. They are a spirit, so they have no mouth of their own. But they have some kind of brain that we maybe will come to know how they can think. But there is a higher the higher priests, and I have a bird again in the garden. It's raining, so they want to come closer to the house, and they have babies now. They have to feed, so that's why they're coming. And but they have other places to be at. They don't need to be in Jesus' garden. No, there is. I tell you something, that there is no animals in heaven. It looked like that in pictures from Jehovah's Witness, for example, that there is many animals, but there is no animals in heaven. And now you'll be disappointed, but I tell you, there is a spirit is coming. Always when I'm recording, someone wants to come and talk. He is saying this, he or she, spirit, have no gender. I say he. He is saying that it's you have heard it in an episode from an angel that have told you about this, that in heaven they are only thinking. If they are thinking about the place, they maybe want to see another planet in the universe, and then they think about that planet, and then they are at that planet. They don't need to have a vehicle. They travel by thinking it. And it's the same with the animals, that if you remember that you had a pet here on earth when you lived. But that is not those that is in the meadow. They don't know their life on earth, so they don't need that. They don't know that they had a pet here on earth. But those that is in the golden city, that have been allowed to come into the golden city, they can think about a pet. They're thinking about the cat, they're thinking about the horse or a dog that they have had. And that pet is there in front of them. That is a spirit is talking now. It's talking now that about the spirit world is so very different from the earth life, the human body and the human's way to think and be. It's hard for you to understand it, he is saying, because everything is built on the spirit and not on the human body. And that's the difference between heaven and earth, that earth you are dependent on the body, and you are dependent on names on that body to the name need to be Adam and or Lucas or Anne or like that, for you to know that that body is Lucas, and to sign in people into the computer on the paper like that. You are dependent on that, but in heaven we don't need that. We don't need a computer. We don't need paper to write on, because everything, when we come to heaven, we that is in the city of God, in heaven, the center of heaven, we have everything. When we are coming in to heaven and have got our place in the golden city, where I have been to heaven, and I was to heaven already in 1978. That was the first time, and I didn't know God, but I was to heaven, and I saw heaven, and far away I saw a city, and the city looked like Jerusalem. It looked like the cupola, those that where they are fighting about in Jerusalem, that both Christian and Jewish and Muslim are going there, but they have different side of that church where they're going. It's not called a church, but this with a golden roof, cupola roof over, that is on most every picture of Jerusalem. and I didn't know Jerusalem in that time, so I couldn't imagine it because I didn't have it in my brain how the Jerusalem looked like. But there it was this, and it was a wall, a wall of stone going around the whole city. And then I saw in that wall there was a very, very tight gate. It was very slim gate. And then on the side of the gate was it red flowers that was climbing up. And I know it was this flower, Rose of Sharon, that means Jesus. It was like it's climbing around the gate to enter into, and but I was in the spirit, and I was up in the air when I look at heaven. This is only one part of heaven. I know today that is more than what I saw, but I saw the center of heaven where God is. And so I say to this one that took me there, I say, I want to go into the city, I say to him. And I was curious, I was not frightened. I told him I want to go into that city. And the man that was with me, he said that to me, that that's not your time yet. So I couldn't go in there because I was not educated like I am today. I'm not proud of it. Yeah, I'm very humble about it, that I know that I will at least come into the walls in the city. But then I saw on the meadow around the city, was it, as I was up in the air, it looked like it was full of yellow flowers on that meadow. But I understand that today it was those spirits that have just make it into heaven, but it was not those that was allowed to come into the city, but they were there in heaven, but they are like children and playing. They are not children, but their mind set is like children. This, these playful children that laughing and singing and have fun. That's what it was. They were shining because they were in the light and they were happy. There was no darkness. And the sky was clear blue sky, and it was no clouds in the sky, and the light was coming from the city and not from any sun. There was no sun in the sky. So that's what heaven looked like. And then I have been, in 2018, I was up to heaven again, and I was allowed to open the door to heaven, to the center part of heaven, and I saw the same sight. I saw the same landscape, but this 2018, I was down on the ground, so I was not up in there. So I saw the landscape from the ground, but it was the same landscape. So it really confirmed for me that it was really heaven I was in 1978. And I didn't know Jerusalem in that time. I was a party girl. I was out. I was not into deep things. I didn't know anything about Israel. So I didn't know what it was for what I saw in heaven. And I didn't know that I was in heaven. I only remember that I was in this landscape. And today I know I was in heaven. And it was God or someone in heaven that wanted me to see my future. And so I was not in the church. My father placed me when I was 10 years old. When we moved to another city, he placed me into the Salvation Army. And I was there for a little while. And then Salvation Army started to bring in pop music. There was band. They took in band that was playing in the church. And I didn't like that. I'd be angry at it, that they bring in the world, bring in the music. So this is not new things that happen today, because it started in about 1968, in that time, that they start to change to get these drums and electric guitars in the church. And I wanted to have that old church. So I went away. I stopped to go to the Salvation Army. And it was not that I was old in my way to live my life. I love pop music, but I didn't like it to be in the church. That's very different. I was sitting every evening and listen at the radio, and we didn't have so much pop music, rock music in Sweden in that time. So I learned much English because I took in the radio, BBC radio, and listen, and then I listen on a German radio where they have pop music, rock music. So, and in Sweden we didn't have so much, but I was so much into it, and I was on pop concert and rock concert. Beatles was in our city, and I went to the Beatles concert, but I didn't have the money. I standing outside and listen at them. My brother that have the money, he were going in, and he saw Beatles playing, but he was evil to me, so he didn't want me. If he had been a nice brother, he should have given me a ticket, so I also could come in and listen at Beatles. And we had Rolling Stones also coming, and I was there and wanted to listen. And I have been to many rock concert and pop concert. It was not about that. It's that the church should be a church and not a worldly place, not a party place. That was serious. It was serious. Two ways to be serious. I was serious in music. I started to play guitar. I was in a music school, and learned to play guitar, but classic guitar, because I had a classic guitar, and that was when I was in the school. When I was 14, 15 years old. I was in a school to learn to play guitar. So it was not about that. It should be. Still, I think the church and the world should be two different places to be in. It should not be like going dancing on a club. I see this. Sometimes I watch that live broadcasting from a church and see what's going on today in the churches, and it's very much about dancing and be a social meeting place, not the church meeting place. It should be. It's like a social meeting place, and people don't go to the church if they don't get something like sometimes it's a barbecue after the church or before church. I have been eating donuts in the morning before the church service, and those things for people to come. They don't come for to listen and learn about God, and they don't get it because they are talking about Jesus the whole time. So they are not talking about the real God. Jesus was a messenger. He was a prophet from God. That was Jesus was. He was not God. I will see how long I have. It's 1 hour now, so I take the second part. I am going to rest and eat. I couldn't eat, so I need to eat, and then I come back and record one part 2 in my life story for you to know. So I hope you listen at part 2, because I see the static. I see where you live. I see your city, and I see not see only your country. I see your city, so I can see that who is coming back and listen. So God bless you for now.